I can't wait to get all this work done over the summer.
Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valencia? Well, this is unexpected. Well, this is a 3DS game, so I don't think I can Let's Play it, but I suppose I could review it. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. I'm going to review Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valencia, and tell you guys whether you guys should give it some attention. I love the Fire Emblem series, and I'm excited to get into this and talk about this. Partly because, again, I can't Let's Play it, but I can give you my thoughts anyway, so let's go. Ever since I was a child, I've had a long history with the Fire Emblem series. I remember years ago playing Super Smash Bros. Melee and wondering who Marth and Roy were, and eventually picked up the first American release, Fire Emblem, and falling in love with it. However, over the years it has certainly come a long way, with their intended last game in the series, Fire Emblem Awakening, bringing about a renaissance of new fans. Now Fire Emblem is huge, boasting 6 characters in Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS, a spin-off called Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, the massive Fire Emblem Fates with 200 hours of potential content, Fire Emblem Heroes on smartphones, and Fire Emblem Warriors coming in the future for Nintendo Switch. For those uninitiated with the series, Fire Emblem is a tactical RPG franchise where you lead armies to fight each other. The gameplay is loosely similar to chess, well, if chess pieces try to kill each other. Yeah, a bit like that. Anyway, the gameplay of the franchise has always been very rooted in strategy. However, I'm not going to go into the minute details of how this series works for this review, as I'll say this right now. Fire Emblem Echoes is very different from many other games in the series, especially from the last 2 titles, Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates. If you start off with this game, know going in that there are a lot of things you may grow to like that will never show up again, so I will be directing this game mostly towards fans that are already acquainted with the series, though I'm sure you'll find a lot of enjoyment if you are someone who has never played these games before. Fire Emblem Echoes is a remake of the second game in the franchise, Fire Emblem Gaiden. Gaiden, famous for how different it is from other games in the series, was the first game to feature a world map where you travel from point to point battling enemies, as well as having dungeon crawling elements among various little changes to how the combat works. It is a bit of an oddball, at least until more recent years with Sacred Stones and Awakening, where many of these elements did make a resurgence and have actually gotten a lot of popularity, which may have led to this game being made, but either way, I won't delve too much into that. So without further ado, let's begin this review. Also, there will be minor spoilers, nothing big, but I will mention character names and about certain aspects of the plot, but I'll keep it as vague as possible. There won't be any character deaths or anything discussed. If there are any, again, it's not going to be said, so don't worry too much about that. But if you want to go in as blind as possible, not knowing any character names, just throwing that out there. I'm going to say character names, so here we go. This game takes place on the continent of Valencia. Long ago there were 2 gods, Duma and Milla, who fought each other for control of the land, but ultimately the fighting ended and a peace agreement was made, with each god establishing their own countries. Rigel to the north ruled by the cold, strong Duma, and Zofia to the south ruled by the kind, providing Milla. However, as one would expect, this peace wouldn't last forever. Enter Alm and Celica, the 2 protagonists of this game. They were simple children living in the small town called Ram Village, under the care of their grandfather Mycen, a knight of Zofia. After a skirmish near the village, Celica was taken away to somewhere safe. Years pass and the land of Zofia has begun to dry up as Rigel breaks the accord and invades, leading Alm to set out on a journey alongside his group of friends to reclaim Zofia, while Celica sets out on a journey of her own to discover why the land has begun to dry up. While the plot may not sound like anything special, the execution of the narrative is overall very strong, and most of this is due to the writing and voice acting, which is phenomenal. And yes, I said voice acting, as this is the first Fire Emblem to be fully voiced and the entire cast nails their parts. Having played these games for so many years, it is both exciting and refreshing seeing these characters emote in their dialogue.
Please, be at ease. Such formalities are not required here. You saved the life of my dear sister. This makes you a friend. My name is Clive, and as you must already know, I lead the Deliverance. It's good to meet you, Alm.
Likewise, Clive. I can't believe it. That's the Clive, in the flesh and everything. What? Is he famous or something?
Tobin, I am sorely disappointed in you. Sir Clive captains the Knights of Sophia. He's the finest knight in all the realm. Seriously, man, read a book.
Because of the voices, I believe this cast has connected with me the most out of any game in the series so far, and this holds true to the protagonists as well. Alm and Celica are what I would equate to actually good versions of Ephraim and Erica from Sacred Stones, Alm being a kind, heroic, and virtuous young man who comes from a humble background into a world of nobles who look down on him. It is interesting to watch him come into leadership and go on this journey. He may not be the most original character, but he does the job. Celica is a complex nut to crack. She is very dedicated to her mission and ultimately has a bit of a character arc of her own, though she does make a few naive and dumb decisions towards the latter half of the plot, but ultimately she is a strong character and her closeness to her friend May leads to some fun interactions, especially in the support conversations.
What's wrong, May? It's not like you to sigh so aggressively. Is there some way I can help?
Oh, it's nothing important. It's just... Well, I was wondering, do you think girls should be all delicate and proper and junk?
Well, I suppose I think there's room for every girl to be herself.
Wait, you mean it? Oh, but you're super nice, so of course you'd say that. You don't count.
I don't count? Oh, enough of this, May. What's your real problem?
What? Okay, so here's the thing. Hypothetically, just hypothetically, let's say there was someone I liked. Someone I'd always been close to, but who never saw me as a woman. I mean, in that case, I'd have to be the problem, right?
I don't... Oh. Oh! I don't think you need to worry, May. You're a wonderful woman. You're kind and cheerful, and you always encourage your friends to keep going. You're an absolute catch just the way you are. Have confidence in yourself.
Aw, jeez. I'm blushing. I mean, hypothetically. We're still just talking hypothetically, right?
The villains of this game have to be among my favorites in the series. There really is a sense of depth to these characters, once again due to their performances that really give a range of personality to them. They also introduced a new villain to the remake named Berkut, who really has to be one of my favorite minor villains in the franchise. This man is an interesting villain as he really eats up every scene he's in. Now of course there do exist some villains of less interest, but they do their job just fine and help carry the plot forward. Overall though, this plot was really what I felt I wanted from the last few games. This is a game of complex themes that there isn't always a right answer for, and characters with motivations that help them feel more like people than just another waifu or just some generic villain or, you know, just any sort of trope. It really does feel like these characters are more people this time than before, and it is really cool. I absolutely love it. And more than anything, I really do feel the passion the creators had for the original game here. But anyways, I believe I've talked enough about the plot. Now it's time for me to move on to the gameplay. Oh man. Fire Emblem Echoes, generally speaking, is a very faithful remake to the original Gaiden, which also comes with all the strengths and weaknesses. Echoes features a world map similar to the one from Sacred Stones. There are locations on the map symbolized by little icons that will either be a battlefield, a place to visit such as a town or a castle, or a dungeon. Let's begin with the new stuff. Towns in Gaiden often shifted to a top-down perspective as you entered houses to talk to NPCs, much like in regular JRPGs at the time. In Echoes, however, the game switched to a first-person perspective as you explore around in a fashion more like something from Danganronpa or other such interactive visual novels. You'll be talking to people, grabbing items, helping NPCs, and even recruiting new people to your army here. They also use it as a good way to help establish world building, as you'll get details about the world not usually explored in these games. If anything, it is really one of the best things to help flesh out the narrative from the original chapter to chapter progression. One NPC in particular really gave me a moment where I felt generally sad for a situation, and that it resolved not in the usual way, but it did make me care for them, and again, I have to give a lot of props to the writing for this game. It is so good. Another thing in Gaiden was dungeon exploration, and in Echoes, it switches to a third-person perspective. However, dungeons are nothing complex, and you'll be spending most of your time there fighting enemies and collecting items. Running into enemies in the dungeons will create a small battlefield, so you don't have to worry about the combat working different. It's still Fire Emblem. However, something to keep in mind for later dungeons is a fatigue system. As your party members battle in dungeons, eventually they will start to get tired, and once that smiley face turns down, you're going to want to turn that frown upside down. Fatigue greatly weakens your units, and it's nothing too hard to manage and only really bothered me in the final and post-game dungeon. Just shove food in their mouth and it makes them better.
Hey Ash, are you tired?
Tell me about it.
Oh,
I'm tired.
Here, have some food.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm tired, I'm not hungry. I have food. I love food.
Yeah. Oh. Do you think that's gonna be enough?
Oh, I mean, yeah,
I mean, here. Have some strawberries.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still working on that. The yoga.
You know what? Here, have this too.
Oh.
It's like tortillas.
Just eat them, like, I mean, like, they don't have that much.
Is that a bit
flavor.
much? Is that a bit much? Here, have this instead.
Okay, I mean, I have my limits. I'll make my way through the tortillas. I'll do that, but what am I meant to do with this?
Eat it.
I'm not even hungry, I'm just tired.
What, man? We have a long game to finish, dude.
Now the real meat and potatoes of Echoes is the combat, and there's a lot different this time. So first thing that should be mentioned is the magic system in this game. In most Fire Emblem games, spellcasters use tomes to cast spells, a type of weapon if you will. However, Echoes is a bit closer to most RPGs this time, with spells being regulated as learnable skills based on the class. Spells also cost HP to use, so there's an interesting balance of using magic versus preserving your health. Now I know this sounds bad, but actually Army might be the tankiest an army has ever been in these games. There were a lot of points where I could throw a unit into a crowd of enemies and they'd survive due to their high HP. So this spell system hardly became a problem, and in some cases it was actually kind of overpowered. Another thing to take note of, see that item slot? That's your inventory. Characters can only hold one item at a time. Now this wouldn't be so much a problem as I found myself needing to heal from items a bit less in this game thanks to the magic system, but I still wish there was an option to have an upgraded weapon and a healing item at the same time, but them's the ropes. Something new introduced in Echoes and is the savior of the gameplay is Milla's turn wheel. Milla's turn wheel allows the player to rewind to a specific action of their choice, player or enemy phase. Something that has saved me so many chapter resets. It really is a nice feature, and if I want to be honest here, I think they should include this in every Fire Emblem game going forward, or at least some incarnation of it. It really is a nice thing to have, and if you don't want to use it, just don't use it. Also returning in this game is casual mode, which allows players to play through the game without worry of permadeath. This could relieve some stress from the game, so for players who want to just experience the story, this is probably a good route for you to take. Now, the real elephant in the room is the map design. Fire Emblem Gaiden was very criticized for having map design that ranged from simple to sometimes frustrating, Alms being more guilty of the former, and Celica's of the latter. Alms route mostly comprises of soldiers in big empty fields with trees and the occasional healing circle, where you're most encouraged to have very careful unit placement, but they're really not that complex to understand. Just, a lot of enemies. Celica's route, however, happens to have a lot of these enemies called Cantors. And guys, not gonna lie, these are the downfall of the game. Cantors can summon around 6 enemies every 4 turns, which can be great for grinding, but it gets out of hand towards the later parts of her maps.
Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. And another one.
I've had chapters where I've killed around 5,000 enemies before I'd successfully finished the map, and in most cases, that was not due to intentional grinding, but rather how quickly I was overwhelmed. Maybe I just suck. But that was also before I realized there was a spell with a 60% chance to kill all monsters in range. Though that ended up not working on most endgame enemies, so kind of pointless in the long run. And what's even worse, there's some chapters where there's either a heavily guarded Cantor or just 3 of them. They pretty much just start throwing them at you, and I suppose it's to encourage rushing so you don't get flooded, but as someone who likes to play Fire Emblem carefully, it drives me nuts. It makes chapters go on forever. And it is that level design that made trying to get through Celica's side in particular very painful for me personally, because I just wanted to move along with the plot, and it is ultimately Milla's turn wheel that helped me keep my sanity with this game, because I could go up and do a Cantor, and all of a sudden the Cantor encounters with a crit, and all of a sudden one of my units is dead, and gosh darn intelligent system, thanks so much for implementing the turn wheel, because I would lose my sanity without this. Also, there are a few instances where recruiting a character can be on the cryptic side. There is a chapter where you fight some enemies and you don't immediately recruit these characters, but you have to go to a town backwards away from where you're going to recruit them, or one easily missed character down in a basement you may or may not forget is there. It's not so bad, but I can see it annoying people. As for the music in this game is phenomenally well orchestrated, as one would expect after the last couple games. It really is a great soundtrack, and I'm just going to share some right here. Now there's a few other ones I would like to share as well, but those would be spoilers and I want to keep them as a surprise. I love the OST in this game. It is probably my favorite Fire Emblem OST. Yes, I like it even more than Awakening and Fates, and even Path of Radiance's OST, that one's my actual favorite. I know that's an unusual opinion, but I think that this is my favorite Fire Emblem OST now, so yeah. Anyways, I said a lot of good things about the game, and a lot of bad things about the game. So what is my opinion of it? Well, if I'll be honest here, the game is not perfect. Absolutely not. It's got a lot of problems, and I'd be hard-pressed to 100% recommend this as a first Fire Emblem game, but even still, I kind of love it. For every crappy thing this game did, something else came up for me and made me love it. Whether it be the writing, the music, the cinematics, the voice acting, Berku, there was always something keeping me moving forward. And honestly, this is my favorite of the 3DS Fire Emblem games. Most of this game's problems due to the game sticking to its roots, and while it could have perhaps been better, it does feel like it comes from a place of love and respect for the original game rather than just laziness. Heck, they took a game like this and turned into this. And to me, that in and of itself is amazing. Just the fact that this exists at all. No one expected them to remake Gaiden. And not only did they do it, but they went beyond. And honestly, that's all I could ever ask for. Anyways, that is my opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love this game. I really do. I still recommend it. If you guys have played Awakening and Fates, pick it up. Literally. I feel it will be a good gateway into a little bit of what to expect from like the older games, and a little bit of why us older fans have felt a little more disappointed by the newer games, at least from a plot perspective, because the writing in this game is its major saving grace. It is what has kept me through the NES level design, and the gameplay itself actually is mechanically very fun. It's more the map design that kind of ruins things, but even still, I love this game. I still wholeheartedly recommend it. I'm not going to give it like a score. I don't think I'd do that with reviews. I mean, I only did one on the review, but I can't remember if I scored it. Did I? I don't know. Either way, I'm not going to score this. I'm just going to let my opinions stand, and you guys make your own decisions. So, anyways, thank you so much for tuning into this review, and hopefully my YouTube channel will go back to being normal soon. There's a few developments that are going on. Might get a job, so there's that. But it should go back to being normal pretty soon, so look forward to that. And, yeah. Anyways, I wish it was raining, by the way. I know it's a joke with my friend from the last review I did, but, it is hot. Like, unless it's... Actually, would it be bad for it to rain? Because then moisture in the air, so then I just feel more miserable. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye! Also, I heard that the director of this game is doing Fire Emblem Switch. I'm excited. I hope it's good. Please be good. Please be good. Please be good.